Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea Timpano, the editor of Boston Home, and it's my pleasure to welcome you this morning's virtual issue launch, where we'll be celebrating the release of our fall 2020 issue. This is the first issue that the Boston Home team has produced start to finish remotely working in quarantine. So it's been a true labor of love for all of us, and I'm really excited for everyone to finally see what we've been working on. And also for us to have this chance to recognize all of the members of our local design community who helped make this issue possible. It takes a village to make a magazine under normal circumstances, no less mid-pandemic. So I'm especially grateful to my colleagues at the magazine, to our amazing industry contributors and partners for helping us get this issue off the ground and onto newsstands. So big thank you to everybody there. As many of you know, we do dedicate our fall issue each year to exploring the latest and greatest in local kitchen design. And this year, despite all of its wackiness, is no exception there. Within our Marquee Kitchens feature, you'll see projects by Robin Anderson, Metropolitan Cabinets and Countertops, Lim Design Studio, Emeritus Limited, R&D Studio, Martha's Vineyard Interior Design, and Cutting Edge Homes. And 3 of those contributors have graciously agreed to join us today for a brief chat on all things kitchens. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce Robin Anderson of Robin M. Anderson Interiors. We've got Evan Landry of Metropolitan Cabinets and Countertops, and we've got Matthew MacEachern of Emeritus Limited. So welcome all of you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Robin, I want to start with you. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm?
Yes, my name is Robin Anderson. I'm a designer out of Cambridge. I'm self-taught. I have been designing in the Boston area for maybe 6-7 years. And I was lucky enough to work with Metropolitan Kitchens for the kitchen that is in your issue, and I'm super happy to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks, Robin. And Evan, let's go to you now.
Yeah, so as Robin said, I worked with her on the project and the issue, so very happy with how that came out. So yeah, I work for Metropolitan Cabinets and Countertops out of Norwood, Massachusetts. We're a family-owned company, been open for 36 years at this point. We manufacture our own cabinets. We make frameless and inset. So the fact that we manufacture makes it, really nice for us designers, because we can customize. We can, I can, for example, the hood that Robin and I put together. Robin sent me some pictures. I drew it up, sent it down to manufacturing, and then boom, they put a little rendering together, and we had a nice little custom hood. So it's really nice.
It's awesome. And Matt, you're up.
Well, thanks. Yeah, my name is Matt MacEachern from Emeritus Limited. We're based in Nantucket, although we do have an office in Boston as well. But we primarily do design and architecture for single-family homes and some commercial work. And yeah, so we've been here since the start of the company in 2000. So it's been about 20 years, which I think it's gone by very quickly. But yeah, like I said, we primarily do residential work. Most of our work is on Nantucket, although we do some work off island. Occasionally, we'll have a client in the Boston area. So, but we also do like hospitality work, small hotels, kind of boutique hotels, and restaurant work as well. So yeah, that's it. Thanks.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you all. Thank you all again so much for joining us. I'm excited to chat kitchens with you. As you know, one of the first things I want to chat about is just layout. A carefully considered layout is of course important to any project you do, but it's especially crucial to a well-functioning kitchen, as I know you can all attest from your work on the kitchens featured in the issue. So I'll have you tackle this one first, Matt. Can you talk a little bit about your approach to kitchen design and sort of how you go about determining what a space needs in terms of layout?
Sure. I mean, did you say Matt or Evan? Sorry.
Matt.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so, well, the one kitchen that was in the issue was a renovation. So it was an existing space. So that was really challenging. You know, if it's a new build, you know, you've got a little bit more latitude. So, you know, usually things I'll look for is, good cabinet wall, good window wall, you know, light's really critical. The kitchen itself is a really critical part of the home. I feel no matter what happens, everybody just basically lives in that kitchen. So it's got to be, you know, located in a place that makes a lot of sense. A lot of the work we do is on Nantucket, so it's, you know, second home market. And so, you know, coming home from the beach and the mudroom, you know, plays a critical role in terms of its relationship. So we kind of consider all those factors. The one in particular that was in the issue was an existing, you know, it was an existing home, and it was basically like a 1960s ranch, and the circulation was crazy. It was very, it was almost like a little bit of a rabbit warren, and so we had a lot of like constraints, not a lot of great windows. We had an elevation change. The floor stepped down to like a 1970s sunroom. There was really no great cabinet walls, so we had to get really creative about. There was actually a shed that was added onto the structure, and we actually converted that into a pantry. So, you know, to me, I'd say the biggest issues are usually just trying to find a great cabinet wall for, you know, cooktop, you know, pantry wall ovens if you need it. And conversely, trying to get a you know, capture a lot of that natural daylight for either sink or, you know, social spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually a great segue to turning it over to Evan and Robin. I know for your project in Weston, natural light was a really important factor, as well as layout, and you two were also working in a renovation capacity as opposed to a new build.
Yes, I can speak to sort of how the kitchen started, and then when we met with Evan. But basically, yeah, it was a renovation. It was a house from the early 1900s. The kitchen was dated sometime 1970s. It was dark. It was oddly laid out. You know, even from the beginning, it's sort of hard to understand why they would have positioned it the way we did. And to Matt's point, you know, the kitchen layout really was designed with trying to keep as much light, add as much light as we could. You know, typically when I come in and I'm thinking about renovating an old space, my idea is how big can we make the kitchen? But with this project, we actually had to make the kitchen a little bit smaller because we needed to borrow some of that space for a family room addition, a mudroom, a banquet, you know, a pantry, all the things that this family needed. And so the kitchen was actually designed different to begin with. We had the sink in the island, which is just a personal preference of mine when you have young kids. And we realized sort of part of the way through that closing up a window that we were planning on closing up to allow for the cabinet wall made the kitchen dark. It really sort of defeated all the work that we were putting into it.
Right.
So, thanks to Evan and the architect on the project, Diane Lim, they were able to come up with a great idea, which was to have a window that looked into the pantry, which is something I really honestly never considered and love and will use in future projects. But for me, when I think of layout, personally, I'm very much drawn to open eyesight. So a lot of my projects involve building storage in islands in different areas of the lower cabinets. You know, aesthetically, that's what's pleasing to me. And that's sort of where I'll toss it to Evan because, you know, I was blown away with, you know, how many multi-use storage options there are. You know, this island in our kitchen that's featured. I don't know. I mean, you open those drawers, there's 2, there's 3, 4. I mean, Evan can speak to it, but you know, it's a small kitchen that houses all.
Yeah. Well, Robin, I agree. It does look beautiful having it open, you know, on the top. That does limit us as, you know, designers, or as, you know, when it comes to me, I'm trying to figure out functionality of the cabinets. So it is a challenge for sure. When you only have, you know, really the only 2 wall cabinets are left and right of the hood, and they have mesh on them. So they're really kind of more display cabinets anyways. So we had to make sure when I was, you know, working with Robin and the homeowner, we really went over, okay, what is going in every individual cabinet? Your Tupperware is going here. Okay, let's put some drawers. Your spices are going here. Your cutlery is going here. Really had to make sure we went over, every single item that they could imagine putting in the cabinets and making sure there was a home for it. You'll see, look at the island, there's lots of drawers. That's because we wanted to make it as efficient as possible, make it accessible. So that's definitely something that we spent a lot of time on, really, adding. We had a magic corner. They had a blind cabinet in the corner because we just didn't have room to put a Lazy Susan. So, I showed them we have one on display here, a magic corner, pulls out and then over. You get, lots of extra storage there. So, when they saw that was a no-brainer. So, definitely had to be extra, pay extra attention to that.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's all about balancing the aesthetics of the space with the functionality needed by the specific client, which of course is an important consideration in any room, as is layout, but with a kitchen, it becomes particularly crucial. And on the subject of client needs, obviously, given the situation we're in with the pandemic and the way we're using our homes now, things are very different than they were 6 months ago. How do you all sort of see what clients are needing now from their homes and their kitchens, especially a room that has taken on so many new roles in the last few months, whether it's makeshift classroom or home office space, or in my case, a DIY station for making homemade masks? I mean, how do you guys see what's happening now playing out in kitchen design? And Matt, I'll let you take this one first.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, I think that, obviously people are spending more time at home. They're cooking more, they're going out less. So that's really critical. So, I think that it'll be interesting to see how it develops. I mean, whether or not this is a temporary situation or it's a long-term situation. I think that if somebody has a kitchen, an existing kitchen that, if they tend to go out a lot, and they say they eat out, maybe like 5 times a week, it's less important. And I think over the last 6 months, they've kind of realized that, okay, I'm kind of stuck here. And so I think there's a desire to make more improvements. As far as changing the fundamentals of the design of a kitchen, are reflective of the current pandemic. I wonder how long those will last. But I think it's a really amazing point. It is become, like for my home in particular, it's become somewhat of a classroom, a virtual classroom. And but other than that, I think we still use the kitchen in the same way that we have. I think that kind of an overarching trend has been integrating more of maybe informal seating areas into the kitchen for that reason. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long the impacts are of the pandemic and whether there's some residual, long-term, design, fundamental changes to kitchens. But for us, I'd say that we probably see most clients are just realizing that, geez, there's portions of their kitchen that haven't worked well, and they want to improve them.
Robin, you want to jump in?
Yes, I echo the sentiment that we're definitely going to want more multi-use spaces. I feel like the home office has sort of been something that's gone by the wayside recently for different rooms, but now we all realize, how important it is to have a space to go and work. And, I have kids. I design for families with kids. So a lot of this, comes from working with young children. And, it's one thing to say you have a space that you can send your kids to, and it's another to actually see that happen in reality. So, I see the kitchen as really becoming the heart of the home for the next year or two, because, like you said, casual seating areas like the banquette, I used in the Weston project, that is an invaluable space now. So you can cook, you can have kids at the bar stools working on something, you can have kids at the tables. So, beyond the function, I think there's going to be a real look at materials again, possibly.
Sure.
Referencing that banquette we did, that was in a new leather that's actually like Sharpie proof. A lot of us designed our homes with the plan that our kids are in school all day. We're not making 3 meals a day. We're not hosting classrooms. We're not taking, Zoom meetings. And so I think, not that there has been such a getaway from it, but a return to, materials that are durable, that are long lasting, that are kid friendly. I don't know. I just see this coming more and more at the forefront, even in like high design, good design. And as someone with kids, I'm certainly here for it. So.
Absolutely. As someone without kids, I'm here for it. Thoughts?
And cats.
Cats, yes. Evan, you want to jump in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I really echo a lot of what they said as well. The biggest thing, I think we're going to see here are adding desks back into kitchens, whether it's, a formal desk, or I could see kind of an inconspicuous desk or workspace, on the back of the island. Charging stations, I think, are starting to become popular as it is.
Yeah.
I could see kind of incorporating that into most designs going forward. But yeah, I think that, for instance, on the back of an island, you could put like a file cabinet or something like that, kind of hide it, on either side. I could see that happening because people are going to be looking for more storage for that kind of stuff. And then even just outside of kitchens, I could see us doing more cabinets for other rooms in the house, extra storage because people are home more, spending more time at home. People are definitely, I've noticed in the past month or so, they're sitting at home, they're looking around, they're realizing I need to do something with this space. I need to open up this wall. And, I have gotten a lot of people who have said that directly, that's why they came in here. So I do see, if that's the case going forward, that more people are working from home, they're going to have to adapt their working spaces to adjust to that.
Certainly. And something that one of our attendees had written in to ask about was pantry storage specifically, knowing that people are trying to cut down the amount of time they spend at grocery stores, so stockpiling food a little bit. Do you see that playing out as well?
Yeah. So I was actually, I know, I have talked to people who do that. They, I know in my house when everything first hit, we had 2 fridges full of food. And, you couldn't fit anything else in the pantry. And I have this brand new kitchen. I thought I ordered a, big enough pantry and then some. But, it's thinned out a little bit. But yeah, no, I definitely see, especially if there's a second wave or, people are really going to, going forward, they're going to prepare for something like this, even if it's something completely different. It's now on people's minds. And they want, another thing I thought of is maybe, a second fridge, going forward. People might, want extra storage for a fridge, an extra freezer, bigger fridges. I don't know, maybe companies might come out with bigger fridges, that are now the new standard. It's still early, you don't know, but those are all possibilities.
Along with the fridge, I was going to say, I've been really pushing the double dishwasher, which is like such an amazing luxury, and trying to figure out how to incorporate it. But, what our dishwashers, many of us are not home all day and are not used to filling it up multiple times a day.
Yep. I run mine daily. Yeah. I could use a second one. Yeah.
As do I. Just to sort of wrap this up a bit, we've been touching on trends a bit and what everyone's sort of expecting to see come out of the pandemic. But outside of the pandemic, let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing in kitchen design, what you're excited about, maybe what you're not so excited about. So I'll bring this back to you, Matt. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing in kitchen design right now that's exciting you, and maybe also something you're ready to say goodbye to going forward?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I think the appliance is really interesting. I mean, the double dishwasher, I found that this is less kitchen, but more mudroom, is that, 2 sets of washers and dryers I found people appreciate, and it's, especially if you have like a lot of volume. So definitely the double dishwasher. I'd say pantries. I'm a huge fan of a pantry if I can integrate one. Again, whether it's renovation or existing structure, pantries just give you a little bit more freedom to give you like kind of a quasi coffee bar, appliance storage, secondary sink, secondary refrigerator, maybe wine fridge. So I'm a huge fan of a great pantry. And I also think with a great pantry, it kind of takes the pressure off the kitchen. itself in terms of like cabinetry. Maybe you can go with like more open shelving. So I'm a big fan of that. I was thinking of something I'm ready to say goodbye to, but I can't really think of anything. Yeah, I kind of drew a blank on that one. I mean, I think that things are constantly changing, so there's nothing that I've seen that really, or maybe I've blocked it out of my mind. But oh, you know what? Actually, I don't like microwaves in the island. How about that?
Great.
I
Love the
don't like
concept.
microwaves, period. How about microwaves? Get rid of the microwave.
You heard it here first. No microwaves.
That's the one.
Love it.
Yeah.
Robin, what's on your mind?
So one thing that I'm very excited about, and I think your issue definitely highlights, is kitchens taking on personality again. I think so many people have been afraid because it's such a commitment. A kitchen's a big renovation, whether you're a new owner or an existing owner, it's a big expense. And I think, people just really restrain themselves. The white kitchen, subway tile, these are certainly things I've done. They're materials I use, but there's so many amazing things out there at all price points. The tile we used in our Westland project is similar in price to Subway, but it's handmade. So it's got some personality, instead, my client for this project really wanted a white kitchen. And I pushed her just towards gray. It's not some huge change, but it does, when you add in a colored appliance or something, it makes a big difference. And I think now that people are spending time in their home, I think we're really thinking about what's personal to us, and that maybe our homes aren't these things that we need to make all these just, that or have it be so, I guess, neutral that, you could sell at any point or whatever. I think it's good to personalize your space and make choices. And ultimately, for me, a bold kitchen is always going to be a good choice, and you're going to find a buyer that's going to like it also. I think, I just think bringing a personality is always a good idea.
Absolutely. So are we saying goodbye to white kitchens?
I think that white wood is maybe the new white. It's a way to get a minimal look, but just have it feel a little bit more personal.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, because one of the things I like, I love like light woods. I think that's really cool. We have a display here. It's a quarter-sawn oak. It's a natural oak with a white glaze on it, and it's weathered. So it's a nice nice light oak, and it's real cozy with that, with the white glaze. It gives it a little bit of like kind of a beachy farmhouse look. But to me, it's real cozy. Even if it's just the island. I would honestly, I do a whole kitchen in it, or even bathrooms. We have a bathroom display here, and I bring everybody to it. I'm obsessed with it. So I really like that. And white. I could see. I know what you're saying. White perimeter, white island. That's something that I'd like to see go. Just a little. Some people are too safe and they're afraid. I like this gray, but what if in 10 years, it's out of style, and I try to encourage people to take risks. A gray island's not a huge risk, but just something like that is hard for a lot of people to do. So I do try to encourage it. And then the other thing that I have that to me, this is just a personal preference. I don't like hardware-less base cabinets. Touch latch, I'm okay with them on the uppers. The no hardware, but to me, I just like a little hardware on the base, and I just touch latch to me is a little tricky. You lean up against it, it opens up, and down the road, who knows, they could break. So but that's just a personal preference.
So it's more of a technical thing than an aesthetic thing.
A little bit of both for me. I like, like I said, I like the woods and the warmer colors, and so I like a more transitional kitchen. Once again, personal preference, but I design them all, so whatever the customer wants.
Well, if anyone's in the market for a really colorful kitchen, you definitely have to check out what Matt has done on Nantucket. Just bold and beautiful, and I know a lot of that was influenced by Matt's wonderful client, the homeowner. So please check that out. you all
Bold.
again, Robin, Evan, and Matt, for participating and sharing your work with us. And thank you to everyone listening for taking time out of your day to join us. I wish we were hosting you all at a showroom or a house as we normally do in old times. But I'm grateful that we at least have this virtual platform to come together and talk design and celebrate the great work that's happening in and around Boston. Speaking of which, I'd just like to acknowledge a few other people who contributed to this issue. Big shout outs to Atsu Gunther, D. Elms, Liz Kahn, Cooper Hurlinger, Beth Stevens, Diane Burks, Rosemary Porto, Stephen Jung, Nina Farmer, Nikki Rimple, and last but certainly not least, Patrick Planeta, whose amazing Seaport condo transformation is featured on our cover. That about does it for me. Concludes our presentation this morning. Thank you guys all again so much for tuning in, and please reach out if you'd like to chat further. I'm always happy to hear from each and every one of you. So thanks,
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.